Now, the key thing is the project proposal. This is the heart of the whole process of this. It's got 11 headings. We call them chapters. There's 11 chapters in this. To ensure that we have uniformity along all applicants in all the countries, there's a specific requirement in terms of the font type you use. It's Arial 11, because the whole application may not be more than 5.5 pages. So if we don't all use the same font size and line spacing, single spacing, some people might have 10 pages, some people might have 5 pages. So we specify specifically, use an Arial 11 font, single spacing. And for each of these chapters or headings, you may use a half a page. So you must think very carefully when you complete the application form, because you'll roughly have about a half a page, 350 words for each of these bits of information in your application. It's not just start writing and completing information. You'll really need to sit down and think to comply with this, because the evaluation criteria says if it's more than 5.5 pages and there's more than half a page on any one of these headings, the application is administratively non-compliant. We'll go through the compliance check just now. So the first thing we need to look at is the logic and the timing. The location of the action, where will it take place? It's not just the country. Where specifically in the country will this action take place? Where specifically in the town, if possible? Provide information. You've got a half a page on the location of the action. The duration of the action. When do you intend starting the action? When do you intend completing the project? Within the 5-month timeline, some projects might be even completed in 3 months. Half a page for that. You most probably won't even use a full half page for that. The second heading, background information. First part, description of the target group. Remember when we started earlier on, how do we design a project, how we put a project together, who will be the beneficiaries, who's the target group. Now in your application, you now need to describe the target group. Please describe the target group in terms if it's a marginalized group with regards to age, gender, class, ethnicity, language, and so on. Describe your target group in detail. The second part of this half page, in other words, a quarter page, the current situation of the target group. Here you refer back to the original problem statement you formulated and the objective. This is the current situation of the target group, and we're going to implement this project to improve their situation to the following status. This is where you provide and you refer back to your log frame. This is the situation, the problematic situation or challenging situation we define, and this is how we're going to develop the solution, and this is how this situation is going to be improved at the end of this project. This is what we require in background section 2. Heading 3, result to be achieved by the action for the target group. Here you write down the 2 results that you formulated in your log frame and provide some more background as to why achieving these results are so important. These results are generally short statements, but here you have a half a page. We prefer that you stick to 2 results, and you now have the opportunity to write down these results, copy them from your log frame, and explain a little bit more why this specific result is so important to achieve what you've just written on paragraph 2, the improvement of the current situation of the beneficiaries. Heading number 4, half a page. Indicators of the expected change of the target group. I think you now get an understanding of why we said complete the log frame before you start completing the application. Because all of this information is already available. It's available in your log frame. You can now write down the indicators from your log frame and provide some more background as to why these indicators will demonstrate the achievement. Here we now move to more narrative writing style. You've got a half a page to write about these indicators. There's indicators for your results. There's indicators for each of your activities. So you can now write a nice half-page narrative style why these indicators will clearly indicate and measure the expected change for the target group. Heading number 5, the activities linked to the expected results. Once again, here you copy or write down the activities you intend to implement for each of the results. We've got 2 results. We've got a half a page for paragraph number 5. So a quarter page will go to result 1. A quarter page will go to result 2. The activities, you can now discuss the activities in a little more narrative. It's not just a question of copying and pasting the activities from the log frame. Because in the log frame, they're very cryptically formulated. It might be one sentence. Here you now need to create a nice narrative paragraph on how all these activities are related together. And these activities together will deliver the result that we want to achieve. Paragraph 6, half a page. Assumptions that might negatively affect achievement of the results. Once again, these are listed in the right-hand column of your log frame. You now can write a nice narrative paragraph on the assumptions from your log frame, provide a little bit more background on why these things and these assumptions are relevant for this project and the risks. You can also here, to demonstrate insight in your assumptions and challenges, also propose some mitigation measures. If the conference venue is not available, this is what measures we will implement. If the season or the weather would not allow, these are the type of things we could do. You've got a half a page to write about the assumptions, factors that could negatively inform your project, but you can also here explain insight and say these are the mitigation measures, this is how we're going to deal with these things should they happen. Number 7, methodology. This is one of the most important paragraphs in your whole application. The evaluation criteria is looking at what makes your action innovative. How will you organize partnership and collaboration with other stakeholders in your action? How will you organize the management of the action? Staff assigned to the duty to implement this, the monitoring process, the procurement process, the budget control process, the accounting that will take place. Very important, number 4. How do you foresee mutual learning between the different actors and stakeholder groups will take place in your ACTG? As I said, this will most probably be the most difficult paragraph to write, as it's only a half a page. There are 4 items listed here. I propose that you start with one sentence for each of these 4 questions above. Write one sentence, what makes your proposal innovative? One sentence, how will you organize partnership and collaboration? One sentence about your management approach and process to this activity. One sentence about the mutual learning process that will take place. Now, read the evaluation criteria, we'll discuss it just now, and then reformulate and expand on these 4 sentences, because you've now got a half a page, 350 words to deal with these 4 key questions, which is linked to the evaluation criteria. You need to spend a lot of time and really formulate this well. Number 8, coherence. This is a project in conjunction between the German Development Agency, GIZ, and the African Union. It also aimed at the overall international global sustainable development goals. There's 17 of them. They listed there. There's a web link where you can find more information about them. There's also the AU Agenda 2063, which aims at promoting specific activities and objectives and goals for Africa. In this half a page, you need to clearly indicate where does your project fit in and link up to these sustainable development goals and this Africa AU Agenda 2063. You need to clearly do this and link your project to these activities. Number 9, very important. This is the deciding factor. Expected sustainability. continuation after the end of the action. Remember earlier on we spoke when you start thinking about your project, you also needed to start thinking what will happen when this project ends? How will these benefits continue? How will these activities proceed and continue to create benefits for the target group once this project ends in month 5? 2 key questions. How will your project action continue after the end of the funding? What measures do you plan to ensure sustainability of the project? A very important second element you need to address here, which we haven't addressed yet, scalability and replication. How could your project be scaled up or replicated in another context? This you need to also take into consideration when you start designing your project. How is this possible to replicate this in another country, in another setting? Is this a mutual learning process that we can do and replicate in another country, in another setting? Scalability. This is an innovation fund, which means it funds startup activities, new things, innovative ideas. How can this be scaled? Now that we've done it, we have successfully completed it, we expect if we successfully complete this small project, it can be scaled over time to this level. We can, instead of involving 10 or 15 people, if we replicate this, we can scale it and involve 100, 150 members of the community over time in future. Those are the key things the evaluating panel will look at when they look at your sustainability. Paragraph 10. How will you monitor in how far the expected results was achieved? Once again, we refer back to the log frame. You've got your indicators, you've got your sources of verification, you've got your targets. Here you need to describe how we will perform this continuous monitoring process. From month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5. We were planning these activities for month 1. This is how we're going to monitor this process. We're planning these activities for month number 2. This is how we're going to monitor in month number 2. These are the processes we're going to put in place. We're going to provide monthly reports. We're going to ask the project manager to report to the CEO on a monthly basis. How are you going to monitor that these results will be achieved? It's not just the activities, the implementation of the activities. It's the impact. What are we achieving with these activities? We need to monitor these results from very early on. Are we really going to achieve this result? Or can we early on see that there's going to be some challenges to ensure that we achieve these results and fulfill the indicators we've set in our log frame? Here, the evaluators would like to see how do you going to manage this monitoring process to ensure the success of your project. The last paragraph, justification of the budget. In the budget itself, there was the right-hand column where you justified each expenditure item. Now, in your application, the last half a page is a narrative, motivation and justification of your budget. As we indicated, there's 6 elements: office and administration costs, travel and project management costs, workshops, training, conferences, events, visibility and advocacy, personnel costs, staff salary, top-up payments, other costs you might have specified in your budget. You will need to think very carefully as you only have half a page. Only about 50 to 80 words per budget item. So you now need to provide a narrative. Our office and administration cost, this is where it fits in with our organization, or this is the support and cost that we need to cover for the parent organization to be able to provide the support. Travel for project management purposes, if we need to manage travel, all of that. Workshop trainings, this is where the workshops fit in. These are the costs, these are the costs are justified. This is why we're relevant. This is why we have 50 people, or we have 30 people, or we have 10 people in a workshop. Visibility, advocacy, motivate, describe. Personnel cost, salary, top-up payments. You need to justify the percentages of the top-up payments. Because of this, in month 1, 2, 3, we'll only top up 10% of the accountant's salary. But in month 4 and 5, when we start getting to the finals, there's more accounting, there's reporting to be done, we might up that to about 20 or 25% of the accountant's salary. So these you need to describe here, the justification of your budget.